Welcome back to Economic Outlook. Over the past several months, major media outlets have begun to pay more attention to the concept of peak oil and the idea that inexpensive energy reserves may soon be depleted. Unfortunately, the quality of analysis in many of these articles diminishes their value. The trend began in April, when Newsweek's International edition published Ruchir Sharma's ill-advised article on why oil prices will enter an irrevocable decline in the next few years. Other people have critiqued new oil field discoveries and emerging price trends as the economy has recovered. The latest example of poor journalism on peak oil comes from the New York Times. On August 24th, Michael Lynch published an opinion piece called "Peak Oil is a Waste of Energy." In the article, Mr. Lynch wasted no time in establishing his thesis. Mr. Lynch states, "A careful examination of the facts shows that most arguments about peak oil are based on anecdotal information, vague references, and ignorance of how the oil industry goes about finding fields and extracting petroleum." He continues, "A related argument, that the easy oil is gone and that extraction can only become more difficult and cost ineffective, should be recognized as vague and irrelevant." In the article, Mr. Lynch criticizes three specific facets of the peak oil debate. First, the rate of new discoveries which replenish oil physically produced each year. Second, the risk of political instability to existing oil supply chains. And third, the percentage of oil we have already extracted as a fraction of all the oil in the ground. Mr. Lynch employs a variety of rhetorical techniques and historical comparisons to justify his position. Rather than address each of these points in detail here, I would point viewers and readers to my website, econoutlook.com, where you'll find a lengthy series on oil depletion which covers each of these points in extreme detail. The oil depletion series provides hard data in favor of the counter-position to Lynch's argument that oil prices will decline over the next 2 to 3 years. Right now, I'm more interested in Mr. Lynch's rationale for why oil prices will drop to around $30 per barrel in the next 2 to 3 years. Mr. Lynch states, "Oil remains abundant and the price will likely come down closer to the historical level of $30 a barrel as new supplies come forward in the deep waters off West Africa and Latin America, in East Africa, and perhaps in the Bakken oil shale fields of Montana and North Dakota." My view on oil prices is well documented. I believe that prices will continue to rise if the global economy continues to recover, demand grows, and global production plateaus. However, Mr. Lynch accuses peak oil advocates of being intentionally vague and anecdotal. Therefore, I would like to present Mr. Lynch a challenge which will allow him to enter into a concrete financial transaction with a peak oil advocate, myself. If Mr. Lynch believes that oil prices will stabilize near $30 a barrel in the coming years, he should be willing to sell call options with a strike price of $30 for an acceptable level of premium. The call options would be non-transferable, European style, and have set time frames for expiration. If Mr. Lynch isn't comfortable selling calls, he could also buy puts. The same concept would apply. Mr. Lynch would buy puts with a strike price somewhere above $30 for a fixed premium. Now, I realize that options are more complicated than this, but these are the basic steps we would need to have to formulate an options contract. To make the transaction fair, my company, Kramer Strategic Services, will enter into either transaction. This means I will buy as many call options as Mr. Lynch would like to sell, or I will sell Mr. Lynch as many put options as he would like to buy. We can set an agreed-upon time frame for the expiration of the options to remove market vacillations and general seasonality. The key is agreeing on what premium to charge for either option. My question for Mr. Lynch is a simple one. How much would you charge for the call option with a strike price of $30? The answer will reveal how confident you are that peak oil advocates are truly using faulty analysis and anecdotal evidence, and that your method uses better techniques. If Mr. Lynch is confident that the price of oil will remain low, he will charge a lower premium for the call option. The premium compensates the writer of the option for the risk that the option will expire in the money. So, Mr. Lynch, what would you charge for a call option for oil in 2 years with a strike price of $30? Would you charge a $10 premium, $20 premium, something higher? The higher the premium goes, the more risk Mr. Lynch associates with oil prices. Therefore, if Mr. Lynch is supremely confident that peak oil advocates are using anecdotal evidence and that the market will stabilize at a low level, he will charge a much lower premium than if he's less confident. If I buy a call from Mr. Lynch and the price of oil is above $30 a barrel at expiration, Mr. Lynch will lose the difference in the price of oil and the strike price minus the premium he charged. The premium gives Mr. Lynch some price flexibility and compensates him for the risk that prices will increase. However, the level of premium that Mr. Lynch charges reflects his confidence in his opinion that oil will be close to $30 a barrel. Again, as I said before, the more confident Mr. Lynch is, the lower premium he will charge. My challenge to Mr. Lynch is to actually tell me what premium he would charge. He claims that peak oil advocates are anecdotal and use fuzzy math. Therefore, Mr. Lynch, give me a concrete number and we'll make a decision as to whether or not we can enter into a transaction. The same logic applies for puts. Mr. Lynch and I could agree on a predetermined strike price for the options and a premium which I would charge Mr. Lynch to have the right to put oil to me at the predetermined expiration date. If the price of oil is below the strike price, Mr. Lynch will exercise the option and make the difference between the price of oil and the strike price minus the premium. If oil prices rise, he won't make any money, and I will simply keep the premium. Ultimately, these options transactions depend upon the amount of premium Mr. Lynch would require to enter into the options contract. Since Mr. Lynch likes to accuse peak oil advocates of using fuzzy logic, anecdotal evidence, and poor math, I challenge him to take a firm financial stand and tell me exactly what option premium he would require to enter into these transactions. The answer will reveal the confidence Mr. Lynch has in his own convictions. As always, thank you for joining me here at Economic Outlook, and I will see you next week with a new entry. Thanks.